clouds, high near 56 with clear skies overnight and a low near 33. Back to school and work Monday, sunshine with a mix of afternoon clouds, high near 58 degrees with cloudy skies overnight, low near 41. Increasing rain showers on Tuesday with a 50% chance of rain, cloudy skies, high of 54 degrees with rain showers overnight and a low near 49.
New.
You'll know. Charges in District Court. Myers in the WCBC.
Voices you trust.
Newsbury, Kathy Cornwell.
103.1 FM, 1270 AM, 107.1. Stream from WCBCRadio.com. People you know. Voices you trust. WCBC News.
One of America's great radio stations, proudly serving the community since 1976. 1270 AM. WCBC Cumberland.
Also at WCBCRadio.com. 9 a.m. Why does Tim Brook Kia have such a high retention rate with customers? Stop in and see for yourself. The following is a special presentation of WCBC Sports. This is Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC and brought to you by the Kensington Assisted Living on Baltimore Street in Cumberland and the Country House, specializing in Alzheimer's care on Cumberland Street in downtown Cumberland. Saturday Morning Quarterback hosts are Rock Cioni and Dr. Jim Zamagias and the WCBC Sports Team with lots of information about the week in sports.
Come on. Good morning. It's Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC. This is Jim Zamagias along with Garrett Eagan, Rock Cioni, Tony Orndoff, Brad Reed, Adam Sterne, and Mike Connelley. So glad you could join us today, and we'd love to hear from you as the show goes on. Right now, let's go to the scoreboard with Mike Connelley.
Thanks very much, Jim. Last night on WCBC 1270, Patuxent 42, Allegheny nothing. Allegheny concludes this season at 6-6. Fort Hill 77, Green Street Academy 12. Perryville 38, Havre de Grace 10. Boonesboro 42, Seed 13. Doddridge County 38, Independence 27. Bluefield 45, Midland Trail 7. Philip Barber 69, Clay County 7. Wheeling Central 41, Tucker County 8. Cameron 42, Wahama 16. Roman Catholic 55, Hollidaysburg 20. Today on Classic Hits 107, the pregame at noon, kickoff at 1 o'clock. It's Mingo Central at Frankfort. Also today in high school football, East Hardy is at Pendleton. And on WCBC 1270 AM today at 3 o'clock, Allegheny College is at Garrett for basketball. Also today in college football, Syracuse at Notre Dame at 3:30, Michigan at Maryland at 4 o'clock. Pitt at Georgia Tech at 7, and also at 7, Nebraska is at Penn State.
All right, Mike, great job. Thank you very much. It's now time for the 2-minute warning.
We have reached the 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning.
We're coming upon the 2-minute warning. Now to bring us to the 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning.
And before you start that clock, Tony, I'm going to make a comment. Neither Al Michaels nor who's his color guy, the guy that does college football.
Kirk Overstreet.
Well, there's a hook and ladder the other night. Neither one used the term. Drove me crazy in the Buffalo game. I'm like, hello, Tony Nathan did this in the Orange Bowl for Miami against San Diego in 1981. And you guys don't have that in your arsenal?
Well, they never see it.
Terrible.
1981 to 2025.
All right.
Al Michaels saw it. It was in 1981.
I was just shocked by that. All right, let's start the clock. Rock, you lead off, please.
I want to just hats off and kudos to Chianti Bible and Sully Watkins of Allegheny. Not the greatest team in the history of Allegheny, but those two guys won a sophomore Bible, and senior leadership from Sully Watkins never took a playoff, either one of them, I don't believe.
All right. Tony?
Great night for Big Red last night, a long night for Allegheny, and a new day for Frankfort today. Mingo Central coming in, and Independence has been knocked out of the bracket.
Very poetic. That's good. Brad?
Great performance by Fort Hill last night. I expect the same type of performance from Frankfort this afternoon.
Adam?
Well, I would say good luck to Frankfort today. I'll be down on the field. Great job by Fort Hill as expected. We see the long run. We knew it was was coming, and hats off to the coaching staff from Fort Hill to have that team ready to go.
All right, and Mike Connelley.
Well, like Rock said, Allegheny had a great season at 6-6. They had to make some changes with the loss of Maddox Hensel due to the concussion. And, when the wheels came off with the interceptions and the fumble, Allegheny couldn't recover. But, again, hats off to Brian Hansel and his staff for a successful season at 6-6.
Garrett.
Just looking at the scores, the fact that Hollidaysburg lost, how good that they were this year, played two of our local teams, and lost to Roman Catholic 55-20 is kind of interesting to me looking at the scoreboard.
Yeah, and that's the team that knocked them out last year. Yeah. And Hollidaysburg undefeated up till that one. Tony, how much time?
30 seconds.
Oh, my goodness. All right. We got good news from Garrett last night that Allegheny's schedule should remain the same except for Albert Gallatin. And that's because Gallatin got so good, they're going to move back into the WPIAL and get into state play. But to go to Hollidaysburg to open the year, we love that. And it's always great when you have a football schedule if you don't have to change too much because it's so hard to pick up new teams. So that was a positive. That was a real positive.
It's a year of... Well, never mind.
I think we let you finish that thought.
I was going to say, it's a year, like you've already done a year of prep for that schedule. So now that work is part of the work that you can put together for next year. You don't have to redo everything.
Yeah. All right, very good. All right, those are our scores. That's our 2-minute warning. We'd love to hear from you. We are down to our final 3 shows. So, folks, you better call. No, we're not extending the season. 301.
We'll see how many calls we get asking us to extend the season.
No. 301-722-8255. You're listening to Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC.
Hi, this is Nicole King from the Kensington Assisted Living in Cumberland. We offer a comfortable, safe place to call home for those who need a little extra help or want a carefree lifestyle. 301-777-8800.
Score big this fall with a gift from Terry's Jewelry. Whether it's a victory celebration or just because. Find stunning pieces at 155 East Main Street, Frostburg. Terry's, where every season shines.
Is your credit so bad that even your grandma won't loan you money?
Ah, come on, Grandma. No, not one more penny.
D&D Motors is here to help you. Bad credit, no credit, it doesn't matter. D&D can put you behind the wheel today. Bring in your driver's license, pay stubs, and a proof of residence, and D&D Motors will take it from there. D&D Motors can put you in a car when nobody else can. Stop by one of our 2 locations, Route 36 Georges Creek or Route 220 in Bel Air. Apply online now at dd-motors.com. D&D Motors.
You're approved.
Let the shopping begin with a Christmas loan from Webco. With rates as low as 5.99% APR, you can slay your holiday spending without the stress. Whether it's gifts, travel, or trimming the tree, Webco makes it easy to celebrate your way. Apply today and unwrap the joy of flexible holiday financing. Webco Federal Credit Union, an equal opportunity lender. APR equals annual percentage rate. Credit subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Rates subject to change without notice.
Riverside Sports has you covered from head to toe for spring sports, including softball, baseball, track, Little League, and tennis. They carry hats, socks, pants, and uniforms, and offer team discounts, too. They also have the largest selection of balls and bats in the area, in stock and ready to go. Riverside Sports has everything your team needs from the dirt up, even in the field maintenance supplies and field signs. Why go anywhere else when you can get it all at Riverside Sports, 940 Kelly Road, where your team identity comes to life.
Now, back to Saturday Morning Quarterback here on WCBC.
Welcome back to Saturday Morning Quarterback. Glad you could join us. We're in the midst of the playoffs. Allegheny's season ended last night with a 42-0 loss at Patuxent. Rock Cioni, what would you like to share with our listeners about last night?
Well, another great effort by the Campers. Certainly the score doesn't reflect that. That was a good football team they were up against. My first impression was, and I don't know that it made a lot of difference, 42-0 is what it is. But they couldn't put any pressure on that young quarterback. For a freshman, very poised. He threw the ball very well, and he could run the ball well. He also faked very well. And I think what got exposed was Allegheny's struggles on defense. They up front, they have a tough time. They're missing Blow. They were missing Hensel at linebacker, and that hurt them. But that was a good team. and more than a good team, they're very, very well coached, Patuxent. So don't sleep on them would be my advice going forward. But I think all in all, a great season for Allegheny. We emphasized, especially at the beginning of the year, what a young, inexperienced team it was, and there's no question about that. Their numbers, not what you'd want them to be, but I think their biggest problem was up on the defensive front. They gave up a lot of points this year.
All right. Mike, what are your thoughts about our game last night?
Well, like Rock said, Allegheny, they were ready to play. I mean, they had some wrinkles there due to the loss of Maddox Hensel in the fullback spot, and also both sides of the ball. And again, that kid, that freshman quarterback, he did it all. And they scored, 3 different ways. I mean, by the pass, by the run, and by return of the interception. And they're just a good football team, and they're going to cause problems down the road.
All right. Garrett?
Yeah, what I liked about Allegheny, at least to open the game, was that they were trying different things. They had that Wildcat set with Bible. He really got beat up because of that, but they were trying a lot of different things. They tried to pass, but blank behind that, just such a tall defensive line at Patuxent. He was having a hard time seeing receivers and getting the ball out quickly. But Allegheny played tough, and that's kind of what we came to expect in wins and losses. Allegheny was going to play tough. When you're facing a team like Patuxent that just had so many weapons, they were tall, they were athletic, they were fast, they were elusive. It seemed like Allegheny kind of slowed them down between the tackles, would get a little bit of pressure inside, and then, the quarterback, the running back would make a cut. And that has to be so demoralizing when you're facing a team and you feel like you're starting to do some things well, finding a way to keep it close, and then the flip of a switch, an interception return for a touchdown, the ensuing kickoff, you fumble it away, and they get 14 quick points. Has to be demoralizing. We've already seen this year Allegheny play a team like Murray, who we saw a lot of parallels with the Patuxent team. And when you're playing two ways, you have low numbers, you have kids that are playing on both sides of the ball. When you have so many numbers on the other side of the field, it's just hard to keep up with them all 4 quarters, and that's kind of what we saw from Allegheny. But overall in the year, Jim, I was very impressed with Allegheny and what they were able to accomplish.
Rock, Mike, Garrett, what was Allegheny's deepest penetration? I don't think it was real deep. They had that one pass that was dropped around the 10-yard line, but any memory of how far downfield they got last night?
I'm going to say to the 30-yard line?
30 or 25 at the most, I would think.
It was right before the halftime, and I was going to say they were probably at the 30, 35 of Patuxent, and they had that pass maybe to the 10 or 15 that was dropped.
So they never got in the Timbreconda red zone. That's why I did the read for the other team last night. I just did not have a feeling. After the first quarter, which was pretty evenly played, and the 2 turnovers, it just kind of went downhill. I wouldn't say Allegheny fell apart, but you just sensed it wasn't going to happen.
They faded. I mean,
yeah, they faded.
The Allegheny's first drive, they were moving the football, and kind of a tail of the tape for Allegheny this year. They have success, and then they take a long sack, or they have success, and then there's a penalty or a turnover. And that first drive, I mean, standing on the sideline, I was thinking, damn, Allegheny's moving the ball. They might have a shot, and then it just fell apart.
On that first drive, it took almost 7 minutes of the first quarter.
That's where good coaching comes in. The coach Crownson, 19 years at that school, 33 years overall in the Hall of Fame. He saw that look. They were running the Wildcat, Allegheny was, and they just adjusted. And from then on out, anything Allegheny got was really tough going.
Well, Brad, you were listening while you were covering the Fort Hill game last night, and you've seen Allegheny a lot this year. You live next to Allegheny. You walk their track at midnight or whatever you do up there in some big yellow garb. Seriously. Sorry,
wait, it's not a Big Bird outfit or something like that.
Deep dive. That was the deepest dive.
I'm sorry. Let's get back to the question. Kevin Bacon, is there a question they wear in our future? Yes, Brad, talk about Allegheny.
Well, they have let's look at the glass half full. This was an opportunity for Allegheny. They won 2 playoffs games. They got to go on the road, see what it's like to play a really, really good team. The younger kids are going to learn from this. They need it. They're going to understand what it takes to be successful downstate. So you have to look at the positives in this situation.
All right, Tony?
I think for Allegheny, I think you would say from the metrics that they set out at the beginning of the year, it's a successful season. They got out of regional play. They finished at 6-6. They beat Mountain Ridge twice. They beat Kaiser, which was a 3A playoff team in West Virginia. So there's stuff to build on. The thing that no one is saying is they're not competitive against Fort Hill, and that is the point of being Allegheny, is to be competitive against Fort Hill, or it's not, and that's a whole separate conversation to have.
It was the point of Allegheny.
And if that's true, but I do think that there's a lot, we put a lot into homecoming, and if it's not the point to beat Fort Hill anymore, then maybe that requires lots of people to rethink how we go about things. But that's the rival, and there should be at least some thought toward that. But as far as the metrics that they set out for the beginning of the year, they did achieve those.
All right.
I just feel like with how things have changed, it seems like the mentality has changed where the object of the season is to win a state championship, and now since everybody makes the postseason and you don't have to play each other, you can get to the reseeded out of the region without having to face Fort Hill. It seems like homecoming becomes, at least for some, becomes a little less meaningful.
And having to face Fort Hill, that's just a roll of the dice. I mean, you have no idea how those pairings are going to end up and what's going to happen. Adam?
So is Patuxent not the 1A, 2A state champion reigning from last year?
They are
dropped
indeed.
down to become the number 1 seed. So again, for Allegheny fans to say that are upset with the season or anything, again, look at their losses. I mean, a 42-0 loss to a team that sat one class above them, which is where Dunbar is when they played Fort Hill this year. So, you need to keep that in perspective, that Allegheny had a successful season. You know, they lost to Frankfort, Fort Hill, Patuxent. Those are huge scores in Hollidaysburg, right? So, again, they had a successful season, and I didn't get to see them play. But I just feel like from what everybody has said and everything, you have to take things in perspective of the schedule they played. And unfortunately, they got a juggernaut that is similar to what the homecoming game was, and they played a team that won the state championship one class above.
Yeah. And Brock, for us as broadcasters, we follow Allegheny every week. I really think there's problems with Maryland letting everybody in the playoffs, but boy, does it help the schedule and keep interest going during the season. You look at Allegheny's schedule, really fun to cover. Fort Hill's schedule, really fun. And we talked about this before. I mean, who would want to go back to 12 years ago when we were going through that litany, Silver Oaks, Maths, all these terrible teams that you'd have to schedule to make the playoffs, and that's not a concern now. So I think as far as the regular season goes, it really helps to be able to play whoever you want.
There's no perfect playoff system.
No.
West Virginia, a lot of people like that system. More power to them. 1 through 16 in the playoffs. But they get a lot of blowouts in the first round of the playoffs, too.
Yeah.
And 16's playing 1. And so I don't know. There's a great difference. Some of the scores with under this system are atrocious, like last night's game at Fort Hill. You don't learn a whole lot about your team if you're on the winning side of that. But in Fort Hill's favor, that's not going to matter a whole lot to them going down the road.
All right, let's look ahead. Coming back for Allegheny, we have the quarterback. We have Keontae Bible. We have Maddox Hensel coming back. They're going to need to find a wide receiver. Sebastian Stewart, 9 touchdown receptions. So that is going to be something. They have a passer, and that really helped the offense this year. And, Brad, I think that component really loosened up defenses some, and certainly took the other team's best cornerback to the other side of the field.
Best athlete all the time was covering Sebastian Stewart. They do have a young man coming back in Rylan Ellsworth, who's a tight end, and he is a monster. And I think next year they're going to have to use him in that passing game because he's got long arms and he can run. So I think they have the ability to throw next year, maybe in a different capacity, not wide receiver, but more on that tight end side.
All right, I think that's a good point. And also Maddox Hensel coming back next year, and we were very impressed by his play, Brock.
Yeah, for a freshman especially, and the longer the season went, the better he got, which you would hope you'd get out of a freshman. Brian Hansel certainly thinks a lot of him. Coach Hansel described him as, what did he say, Garrett, a football player.
Yeah.
Kind of like the true meaning, true sense of that word. So he'll be a leader next year. Bible is Bible. I really admire him, and I admire the beating he took last night. Kept getting up and when they handed to him the next time, he just was willing to take another beating.
And Allegheny, they stopped at Urbana on the way down to loosen up. They got there. Pretty evenly played first quarter, and then the interception returned for a touchdown. First play of the second quarter, and then the fumble on the ensuing kickoff, and it was 21-0 before you knew it happened. But I was impressed by the first quarter, but we play four. But that team had a lot of depth, and we'll talk about Patuxent a lot more, I feel, in the next couple weeks. We will be seeing them in Annapolis.
I would be surprised if we don't.
Yeah, and they'll be playing Boonesboro next week. They'll be hosting Boonesboro, who beat the Seed School. Do you think we need more Seed School and Green Street Academy in the Final Eight? Would we like to see more of them?
No.
No. Thank you. There we go.
I would like to see Spruce Place Tech find a way.
Or Dexter Alley.
Yeah, there
Chris
you go.
doing the news all week. Dexter Alley was closed up. Let's just get some people in that alley and have at it. All right, you're listening to Saturday Morning Quarterback. We'd love to hear from you at 301-722-8255. When we come back, let's talk about the Fort Hill Sentinels. You're listening to Saturday Morning Quarterback.
When the diagnosis is Alzheimer's, the decisions are difficult. Fortunately, there's Country House. Hi, this is Nicole King. Our staff are trained to provide comfort, reassurance, and 24-hour care. 301-777-8717.
Now's the time to get enrolled for spring 2026 classes at Allegheny College of Maryland. Current student, don't stop your progress. Meet with your academic advisor and get enrolled in the classes you need to finish the year strong. Haven't applied yet? No worries. Submit your admission application now and meet with their advising center staff to help prepare your pathway. Allegheny College of Maryland is committed to helping you achieve your goals. Enroll now at allegheny.edu.
Score big this fall with a gift from Terry's Jewelry. Whether it's a victory celebration or just because. Find stunning pieces at 155 East Main Street, Frostburg. Terry's, where every season shines. Riverside Sports has you covered from head to toe for spring sports, including softball, baseball, track, little league, and tennis. They carry hats, socks, pants, and uniforms and offer team discounts too. They also have the largest selection of balls and bats in the area, in stock and ready to go. Riverside Sports has everything your team needs from the dirt up, even in the field maintenance supplies and field signs. Why go anywhere else when you can get it all at Riverside Sports, 940 Kelly Road, where your team identity comes to life.
A highlight from last night in high school sports here on WCBC. Now, back to Saturday Morning Quarterback.
Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. You're on WCBC.
Hey, good morning, you guys. You do a good job up there. I just want hats off to Rock Cioni. He called a great game last night.
Yes, he did.
Thank you very much.
That's all I wanted to say, man.
All right. Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening.
You're welcome.
Rock, you're at your best when we're down by the bay. The Cambridge South Dorchester should go in the annals as one of the great broadcasts under duress of all time.
I think it's the salt water in the air, really.
Oh, and by the way, now, we'll do a little geography here. Now, Rock astutely point out that we're on the western shore of the bay. Now, does anybody else say that? Do we ever hear Western Shore?
I've heard people call Cumberland the western shore of Maryland.
Tony?
I have a memory of a sports center. This was a long time ago, but it was a highlight for, I think Maryland was playing UMEC. They were playing University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and so they were having a discussion about where's the Western Shore, what kind of shores are there in Maryland, are there any shores? The guys in Connecticut didn't really know, but that's the only time I think I've ever come across. But I caught very little of the game last night, but I did catch Rock referring to it as being on the Western Shore.
I did too, Tony, and then I didn't know where you guys were, to be honest with you. I was totally lost.
We didn't know.
I didn't. I thought I knew where you were, and then you said the Western Shore of the... I don't know.
Got to look at that map of Maryland. Yeah. You learn a lot when you have to study where you're going. I mean, Calvert County is more isolated than we are out here.
And there's St. Mary's County below it.
Yep. You keep going. Yep.
Yeah. So there you go, Rock. You have now coined a new term, and you're getting calls pointing at you singularly with that broadcast.
It'd be nice to be part of my legacy that I knew where I was.
All right. Very good. Thank you, caller. We appreciate that. Brad, it's time to talk about your alma mater, the Fort Hill Sentinels. You were there covering it sending me highly accurate texts. I was impressed. So what do you got?
Well, it was a dominant performance. I told Rock off the air that I've seen, I think, 19 teams in person, including the Green Street Academy, and I would rank them 23rd.
One more time. I should give the scores. Fort Hill 77, Green Street Academy 12. Please go on.
Fort Hill dominated in every fashion, capacity, and again, it's the type of game that only Fort Hill fans can love because you got your pizza, you got your drink, you got your funnel cake, you heard the fight song 11 times at least, and you went home a huge winner and everybody got to play, and that's really all you can say about it.
All right, let's go to the phones. A great summary by Brad. Good morning. You're on Saturday Morning Quarterback.
Good morning, fellas. On behalf of Fort Hill Nation, I'd like to thank Perryville for fixing it so I can sit in my seat next week.
Yes, believe me, I was tracking that as best I could last night. Yes, thank you, Perryville, meaning it'll be a home game for Fort Hill. And, I didn't realize how much Perryville was ahead of them at halftime last year. It was 21-7. And Fort Hill came back and won that game 24-21. And, yes, thank you to Perryville.
Yes, very much so. And also, in case you didn't realize it, Noah House became a 1,000-yard passer last night. I think it's the first Fort Hill quarterback since Nathaniel Graves.
Oh, we like Nathaniel Graves. Brad has talked a lot about your best athlete being a quarterback, and watching Nathaniel Graves, he was something else. That's a good memory. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also had 3 pick sixes last night. I don't think they've intercepted a pass all season, and last night they ran 3 back for scores.
That's true. That is one of the weirdest stats that they didn't have an interception. Well, they took care of that last night. So I'm glad Fort Hill's playing Perryville. We know that's a quality program. If they knock them off, then they get Patuxent. So I think it's a pretty good gauntlet for Fort Hill. If they win the state title, very
they
worthy.
Win this year, they earned it.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for calling. And, yes, kudos to Perryville. We'll talk to you again.
Should mention Green Street was missing their head coach last night. And I mentioned that because it's Daryl Alt.
From Frankfurt.
Frankfurt guy.
Yes, he was younger than me.
He's in the hospital.
Yep.
Our best to him. We don't know what the problem was, but he was not on the sidelines.
First time, I think, in 27 years, I believe, is what his post was.
Yep.
All right. Any other comments on Fort Hill's victory and the fact they get to host Perryville next week? Anybody?
I think it's good times in South End. You get to stay home. As Brad was saying, like, going to the stadium, having that experience, that's a huge part of it. They'll travel, they'll go to places, but they don't like it, and they get salty about it. There's a lot of unhappy people at Catoctin, however many years ago that was. They're going to get to be home. It's going to be a great Thanksgiving weekend, and I just, you can have a conversation about is 1A watered down, maybe, or is Fort Hill just really, really that good? Are they in the midst of what could be one of the best runs in Maryland high school football history going back before the reclassifications even?
And we were talking on the way home last night, well, what do you think about Patuxent versus Fort Hill? And so we will totally get into that speculation. But they do have to get by Perryville. And so I don't think that's just going to be a walk.
And Perryville's come up here and beaten them before at the stadium.
We talked about that last night on the way home.
But not this year. And I'm just going to call it now. Fort Hill's going to take out Patuxent as well, even though they came down a class. I'm just going to say they're going to do it. I think they're on a roll.
There you go.
I wouldn't bet a lot of money against Fort Hill.
Okay, and we do not advocate.
No.
And we're not sponsored by betting.
No.
We'll point that out. Mike Conley, how about that scoreboard, please?
All right, Jim, last night, Patuxent 42, Allegheny nothing. Fort Hill 77, Green Street Academy 12. Perryville 38, Havre de Grace 10. Boonesboro 42, Seeds 13. And Doddridge County 38, Independence 27. Today on Classic Hits 107 at noon, the pregame. It's Mingo Central at Frankfurt with a kickoff at 1 o'clock. Also today in high school football, East Hardy is at Pendleton. And today at 3 o'clock on WCBC 1270 AM, AC is at Garrett in basketball at 3 o'clock.
All right, very good. And by the way, we still don't know what day that Fort Hill-Perryville game will be. I just heard from Gavin Palumbo, the athletic director. He said, not yet. We don't know yet. We're going to hope for Friday night. I would take it. So we'll see how all that turns out. And
we have another call.
all right, let's go to the phones. Good morning. You're on Saturday Morning Quarterback.
Good morning, guys.
How are you?
I'm good. I just want to touch on 2 quick points. Actually, Levi House actually had an interception last week. And then...
Very good.
I just want to talk about the dwindling attendance at the games that, I think the state has caused a problem with that during that GoFan. I think the attendance just dwindles every week, and it wasn't really that cold last night, so it's like, what are they going to do to try to fix that?
Yeah, Brad, you were on the press box side. You could look over to the home side for Fort Hill, and you told us before the game it wasn't a large crowd.
No, not a big crowd last night for the Big Red. I don't know if that's a function of... Maybe Fort Hill's just too successful. You just go to the game and you get bored or something like that. I don't know. It may be an age factor, but I don't think... We've talked about this before. The state doesn't want people to come to football games, and they want to make it very difficult. So I think they're accomplishing their goals at times with this electronic wizardry.
Tony?
Yeah, Mike and I talked about that last night. Go ahead, Tony.
Well, I was just going to... Well, you mentioned they don't want... It reminded me of Walmart. Walmart does not want you to go inside. Please, we'll bring it out to you. They make the experience of being inside as unpleasant as possible. I also think... The point I want to make is I think there is a sense with Fort Hill fans that we'll get the next one. There's not really going to be anything to see here. We'll be there the next time. Now, there was a chance last night it was going to be the last home game, but optimism is always wearing red, so maybe that was part of the factor as well.
Yeah, caller, any other thoughts you'd like to share?
Not right now. I appreciate your time, though.
All right, thank you. Very good point.
And I would say also you have the camera. You have the NFHS camera now that people can just stay at home. And granted, it's not the best, but it isn't bad. And then there are some great broadcasters broadcasting on the radio. They can turn the dial down and listen to the broadcast over the radio. The A-team.
Well, we didn't do the game last night, by the way.
There weren't great broadcasters there last night. There were other broadcasters there last night.
I feel like since you guys didn't do the game, that's a cloaked shot by
Yes.
Well, but it all comes down to money, doesn't it? Everything. Chase the dollar. And if it starts showing up in the coffers for the state, maybe they'll say, wait a minute, we don't need to go with this technology.
Now, West Virginia, because, again, like for us, hey, Frankfurt's playing at 1 today. Some people haven't seen them all year. I haven't seen them all year. I saw them last year. What's Frankfurt's ticket situation today?
I think they have to do the electronic tickets as well. It's not something I hear a lot about, interestingly enough. It's not, so whatever their system is, they've got it figured out. But I think they're on to electronic tickets as well. I'll effort that in the break.
That is true.
Okay.
It is a fact. You have to get them online.
How was their crowd last week?
It seemed fine to me. It seemed as it would normally be.
Okay.
Yeah, and I thought Williamstown brought people as well, so it didn't seem like it's impacting anything. And there's no buzz in the community that it's been a problem.
Brad's point's an interesting one, though. Have they been too successful at Fort Hill? I don't want to use the word spoiled because that's not what I mean, but almost like it's a foregone conclusion. You go up there, especially like last night. I mean,
if you
anybody that
follow...
follows it knows that was going to be a beat down.
I thought, who would have an appetite for this?
Yeah, that's right.
And,
you know what also is kind of killed, which is a little bit of a hidden one, is the fact that kids can't play, like, pickup games behind the snack bar.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that used to be a big thing as a kid, whether you went to an Allegheny game, even a Bishop Walsh game, a Fort Hill game. When you're younger, like, yeah, you're interested in the game, but you want to hang out with your friends, play pickup football and things like
Kids
that.
used to be able to walk the track.
Yeah, we did that.
Was a thing forever.
Yeah.
To be able to walk around the stadium, and because I guess it's the way the world is today, they can't do that anymore.
Well, I think Garrett's right. Like the games at the stadium had a much more community feel, even 10 years ago. Like it really wasn't even that long ago. But I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of factors, and it's an aging population as well, and just a lot of people with a lot of other things. There are a lot of options of things to do.
Will we ever see a crowd like we saw for that Florida team? It was a Saturday night.
I mean, I don't think so, but.
It would take another matchup like that, I feel like.
Yeah. All right, very good. Caller, thank you. Your calls are always welcome. And we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more Saturday Morning Quarterback and talk about Frankfurt in just a moment.
WCBC, Cumberland,
work by Governor Westmore's administration, the fund furnaces for families in Westernport is still underway. While in the meantime, Christina Dunn from Foreman Financial is asking the community to donate coats, blankets, and any other warm items to be distributed to the families still without heat.
There are still about 50 homes in the Westernport area that do not have heat right now due to the flooding that was in the spring. So we are collecting brand new blankets, coats, things like that will be distributed to families in Westernport.
The City of Cumberland's notifying the public that the Frederick Street parking garage entrance will be under construction beginning on Monday, November 24th. This also applies to pass holders to the garage. That's Newsbreak. I'm Chris Myers for WCBC News, reminding you to remember the time you spend listening to 1270 AM, 103.1 FM, and streaming worldwide at WCBCRadio.com.
Riverside Sports has you covered from head to toe for spring sports, including softball, baseball, track, little league, and tennis. They carry hats, socks, pants, and uniforms, and offer team discounts, too. They also have the largest selection of balls and bats in the area, in stock and ready to go. Riverside Sports has everything your team needs from the dirt up, even in the field maintenance supplies and field signs. Why go anywhere else when you can get it all at Riverside Sports, 940 Kelly Road, where your team identity comes to life.
Hi, this is Nicole King from the Kensington Assisted Living in Cumberland. We offer a comfortable, safe place to call home for those who need a little extra help or want a carefree lifestyle. 301-777-8800.
Score big this fall with a gift from Terry's Jewelry. Whether it's a victory celebration or just because. Find stunning pieces at 155 East Main Street, Frostburg. Terry's, where every season shines.
This is Garrett Eagan. The Trojans play tonight right here on your home of Allegheny College of Maryland men's basketball, WCBC.
Nobody knows the Fort Hill Sentinel like 1270 AM, WCBC.
This is Saturday Morning Quarterback on 1270 AM, 103.1 FM. Let's check what happened last night in high school sports.
Yeah, we've talked about last night. We're going to look ahead to this afternoon. A Saturday game at Frankfort. They host Mingo Central. Kickoff at 1, airtime at noon on Classic Hits 107. Tony, what are your thoughts about Mingo Central and Frankfort?
Mingo Central has trouble stopping the run, so I think it's going to be a long day for the Miners. They played Doddridge County earlier in the year, which is a likely opponent for Frankfort if Frankfort wins. And the Bulldogs rushed for 386 yards on Mingo in that game. So I think Frankfort will be able to impose their will at the line of scrimmage and be able to done. I think you'll see a lot of Braden Tyler. You know, Frankfort right now has no 1,000-yard rusher, but they have because it's really just it's everyone getting the ball and being able to make create havoc there and not knowing where it's coming from. Tyler might get over 1,000 yards for the season today.
Cool.
What's Mingo's record?
Mingo is
9-2.
There you go.
They were 8-2 in the regular season. They beat James Monroe last week.
They're on it.
Yeah, they are on it.
They are
West
on
Virginia guys.
Mingo traveled and stayed in Morgantown last night. I heard from a deep source close to the situation. That
the maid at the hotel in
the Hampton Inn in Saberton texted me, said that they stayed in Morgantown last night. They had a walk through there at WVU and driving up this morning.
There's a Saberton exit, isn't there?
There is. There's a Saberton too.
That we might have seen that on our way to Clay Battelle.
Star City. Yeah, you get off the Star City exit, you take a left, and you just drive to Clay.
And hope you
and sooner or later you hit the Western Shore. Chesapeake Bay. If you keep your eyes open.
I'm glad everybody, because I liked that last night. All right, Brad, a little bit more about Frankfort and Mingo Central.
Well, the game will be played on the southern shore of the Potomac. If you weren't aware, Rock.
Everybody listens. That should make you feel good. No matter what we say, they're listening.
I think Patterson Creek is actually closer.
That is true.
But it's the northern shore of the Patterson Creek, Adam. Mingo Central is, I classify them as Herbert Hoover light.
Okay.
Herbert Hoover maybe less. The quarterback's not quite as, he doesn't have quite the same arm. The defense isn't quite the same in terms of its strength. They do run a nose guard, kind of a 3-4 defense. I think Frankfort has a big day overall.
All right, Adam?
So what I picked up on Mingo, Del Barton is where they're located. I don't know how you pronounce it, because it's just weird on it, looking it up. They travel 230 miles, 4.5 hours to get here. They do bring a junior quarterback who has thrown over 2,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. They like to spread out the offense. So that's something that we're going to see a little bit of. It's a little bit different. So I don't know that Frankfurt can load the box to go after them, because they are a run and pass kind of offense. So I look for Mingo. If they spread it out, they may try to run, hoping they can find some holes there. But other than that, I think it's just going to be a big day. I think Tenny's right. I think Tyler gets his 1,000 yards today.
They do have a receiver that has a scholarship to Marshall, so he's
nice.
Yeah, he's got some speed. So, but overall, Frankfurt is so good at scheming. They will cover him well, and they will not let him get behind them.
Tony, any final thoughts?
I think that's right. Just the last time I remember Frankfurt going up against a team in a playoff with a kid with I think it was a Marshall scholarship, was down at Polka. It was a big tight end that was the difference maker, and they could not stop him. But their defense has improved since then, and they don't beat themselves. We say that all the time, but they don't really make mistakes. They play really good assignment football.
I was just saying to Rock last night we were coming home, you've done two consecutive regular seasons without a loss. And
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think, at some point that will end. At some point, I don't suspect it'll be this year. And I just think about that, what will that be like? What will how will that be taken, and what will the mood like that be? But let's play the number one team in 1A last year in the regular season, blow them out. Let's play Hoover. We can handle them. We'll win by double digits. So let's play Allegheny again, no problem.
And if Frankfurt wins, they'll play Doddridge County next weekend. All right. Very good. We're going to take our final break here on Saturday Morning Quarterback. When we come back, we'll have our booth review and number of the night. Your calls are welcome. You're listening to Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC.
When the diagnosis is Alzheimer's, the decisions are difficult. Fortunately, there's Country House. Hi, this is Nicole King. Our staff are trained to provide comfort, reassurance, and 24-hour care. 301-777-8717.
The aroma of grilling steak, the unique flavor of seasoned lettuce, toppings, and rolls you've always enjoyed. Downtown Daedry Pasta and Subs, 152 Baltimore Street. Whether you're driving through or live close by, stop by to experience Daedry's again. Any weekday from 11 to 2, enjoy Daedry's daily specials of a small hoagie, fries, and drink for just $13.99. Or a small steak or cheesesteak sub with fries and a drink, just $14.99. Closed Wednesdays. Downtown Daedry Pasta and Subs, Baltimore Street, Cumberland.
Score big this fall with a gift from Terry's Jewelry. Whether it's a victory celebration or just because, find stunning pieces at 155 East Main Street, Frostburg. Terry's, where every season shines.
Let the shopping begin with a Christmas loan from Webco. With rates as low as 5.99% APR, you can slay your holiday spending without the stress. Whether it's gifts, travel, or trimming the tree, Webco makes it easy to celebrate your way. Apply today and unwrap the joy of flexible holiday financing. Webco Federal Credit Union, an equal opportunity lender. APR equals annual percentage rate. Credit subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Rates subject to change without notice.
Riverside Sports has you covered from head to toe for spring sports, including softball, baseball, track, little league, and tennis. They carry hats, socks, pants, and uniforms, and offer team discounts, too. They also have the largest selection of balls and bats in the area, in stock and ready to go. Riverside Sports has everything your team needs from the dirt up, even in the field maintenance supplies and field signs. Why go anywhere else when you can get it all at Riverside Sports, 940 Kelly Road, where your team identity comes to life.
Now, back to Saturday Morning Quarterback here on WCBC.
Welcome back to Saturday Morning Quarterback. And right now we're going to do our number of the night. Mike Connelley, we'll start with you.
All right, Jim, I have numbers, 3 of them. 3 turnovers by Allegheny last night, 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown and a fumble recovery. No passes thrown to Sebastian Stewart.
None completed.
Right.
Yeah.
And Allegheny in the second half gained 1 yard total offense. So So 3, 0, and 1 are my numbers.
Okay. What did, as Garrett said, yeah, they did fade after those 2 turnovers. Adam?
So since it's the traditional hunting week coming up in West Virginia, 1.5 million deer are killed by vehicles on the road a year. 5,000 are killed by trains. Yet the deer are so smart to stay away from hunters. It's unbelievable. I don't understand it. Only reason I brought that up is I saw a train early this morning, and I saw a deer by the tracks, and I thought, wonder how many deer are killed by trains, because they run out in front of every car.
That's very good.
I was telling the
that's
guys
a deep dive.
last night after we did a game down in Virginia, we were following a friend of ours driving a small compact car, and he stopped at the railroad tracks like he's a school bus driver. Now that
did he put his hazards on? Okay.
He did open the door.
He may have gotten some abuse when we got to the site we were going for. Brad, what is your number of the night?
Let's bring up the mood now that we've talked about deer suicides in thousands. How about 11? That's 11 touchdowns last night for Fort Hill. 11. And as a true Fort Hill fan, I got to hear the song 11 times, and it never got old.
How about Barbara Ann?
I think they do that in the middle of the 3rd and 4th quarter.
I believe Barbara starts the 4th quarter.
Yes,
it's my memory.
Yeah. So
yes. All right.
Tradition.
Well, we like that. Tony?
I've got a bunch of numbers here. I'm gonna go with 13. I talk about this a lot, but it's the turnover differential. Frankfurt's plus 13 on the season. Very hard to beat a team like that.
Yeah.
There isn't a stat category in the books that they don't lead, and normally by significant margins, and week to week and throughout the season. But plus 13 turnovers.
Just remember, Mingo has 27 turnovers they've created this year, so that's something to keep an eye on.
What does this team do? Its research. Very impressive.
That West Virginia bunch.
Yeah. All right, Western Shore, what do you got?
I got 1,200. That minimum number of fans that need to show up to support Fort Hill next week. At least 1,200 of you guys get up there and support this outstanding football team.
Did you concoct this number while you're sitting here listening to this?
I did.
Very good. On the fly.
On the fly.
Boy,
yeah, I couldn't come up with anything at home. I was too tired.
I was kind of stuck this morning. I don't know if it was a long night or not, but I had this sheet of paper, and I had to do number and booth review, and
it just wasn't working yet, was it?
It wasn't working yet. All right. Although I did talk to Garrett the whole 4-hour drive home, so I'm proud of myself for doing
You guys kept waking me up, man.
Garrett, what is your number?
6, and that's how many wins Allegheny had this year. They finished the year at 6-6. Coming into the season, Coach Hansel talked about it in the post game. A lot of people in this area thought that Allegheny really wasn't going to have a shot to be successful, to make it out of the region. 6-win season, making it out of the region, to me, is a step in the right direction.
All right, and I'm going to be in a similar vein. My number is 4. Allegheny last night did not have 2 players they had last year, Dana Tennant and Kane Williams, who would have been huge on that team.
Especially on defense.
And they didn't have Maddox Hensel, and they didn't have Amani Blow. So I thought it was outstanding what Coach Hansel did, and it's I keep that early season preview, and I just went back, and the last quote he gave, we have to find a way to overperform this year. You can't overperform. You can't give 110%. But if there's anybody that did, it's the Allegheny Campers this year. They deserve a lot of credit for what they did. All right, that is our number segment. Now it's on to the booth review. And Adam, let's start with you with the old booth review.
Well, since I didn't have a game to cover, because I didn't moonlight like somebody else here.
You're moonlighting deer, spotlighting deer.
Spotlighting deer, but yeah, so my booth review, I'm just going to go ahead and just take a hats off to Coach Tim Nightingale for retiring from Mountain Ridge and started his career at Bell. A great career. Somebody that came in as a basketball coach that knew nothing about soccer and taught himself the summer that he was hired. A great friend of mine, and I just want to say my hats off to him and to what he has done for Mountain Ridge soccer program in the men's or in the boys soccer division up there.
And Garrett, who broke that story about Coach Nightingale? That's
WCBC Sports did.
WCBC Sports did.
That's when I first saw it, was Garrett's post. Just so
the 8 hours on the road, 3 hours were dedicated to that. And Garrett is related, as everybody in Cumberland is related. So next time you see him, folks, chat him up. Oh, by the way, breaking news, and this is why we love the Fort Hill people, because they're totally into it. Gavin Palumbo and Doug Wolf have informed me. Perryville at Fort Hill, drum roll, 7 p.m. Friday.
Yeah. So the team that travels no longer can pick the date and the time, and that used to be the case.
Chris went with a mournful.
Yes, very right on cue, Chris.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is good news. Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Doug. Doug and he's a big Pirate fan. If you don't know that, you can talk to him about it. So, Brad.
Well, as Coach Alcar says, Fort Hill plays on Friday night. That's what Fort Hill does, so that doesn't surprise me. Real quick, on the Frankfort side, everybody was rejoicing that Independence lost to Doddridge County. Tony and I, in our extensive film study, have determined that Independence was not exactly the juggernaut we thought they could be. So they get Doddridge potentially instead. Doddridge is undefeated and a heavy, heavy run team. So we'll see what happens.
Well, there's nothing like I was kidding you and Tony about watching film together. So last night you were at Greenway telling me you're watching Independence, and did you talked about Tony in your text, I think, or did you text me about Independence
I
last
texted
night?
you, my girls were in a play last night. The play ended. I immediately got on my phone to check scores. I was like, Doddridge is leading at halftime. Jim will want this for the air. So I
wrote huge in capital letters. Did you? I hope you know that was being sarcastic.
Well, I did believe it was sarcastic, although, and you probably don't know this, but your text then, it makes that, the way it expands. I don't know if you knew that was going to happen. I was like, that. I think this is sarcastic, but maybe he's really enthusiastic about it.
Again, it is a big deal, and we go crazy over Perryville and Patuxent and all this other stuff, but it's just fun how you guys are into it. And you got Adam now as an acolyte into this.
There were 2 different live streams on YouTube of that game. There was a broadcast that was Independence-minded, and there was one for Doddridge. There were 2 different groups doing it.
And we're talking about the lack of crowds at Fort Hill and Allegheny games, and I still say there's nothing like local radio to do a game.
Yeah.
You know, I think there'll be a huge crowd at Frankfort today, being a 1 o'clock Saturday. I think we'll see it. And if there are anybody around at Frankfort, Ridgely, Fort Ashby, come out and see the Falcons, right, Rock?
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go.
How many do they need? 1,300.
Well, that'd be a nice crowd for Frank. 1,300. I mean, but get out there. What else you have to do?
Tony, you did your booth review, right?
I don't think so.
Well, then do it now.
Okay. We were talking about West Virginia, Maryland playoffs. These are upsets in the West Virginia playoffs in all 4 divisions. In 4A, the number 2 team Huntington lost last night to University, number 7 seed. In 3A, the number 3 seed Fairmont Senior lost to the 14th seed RC Bird Eagles. In the first round. Last night, Independence lost to Doddridge. That was a 5-4. Doddridge. Told you.
Brad, break a rib when you're sitting next to him.
We'll take a guess as to how many different ways I can come up with it. And in single A, the defending state champion Wahama, number 2 seed, they lost to the runner-up last year, Cameron Dragons, number 7. So upsets up and down the board in the West Virginia playoff
I wish
structure.
our old partner John Cunningham was here, because he covered Frankfort, and he'd go into this like you are, and he would love it. That's great. Well done. All right, Rock, what do you have?
Dare ask these guys where Doddridge County is?
Please don't. I don't want to hear Del Barton ever again.
It's about I looked it up in the off chance that someone might ask me, and it's about 45 minutes this way, not quite to Parkersburg. It's about 45 minutes east from Parkersburg.
Were you at Mountain Ridge last night?
Yes.
For your daughters,
I was.
Right? Were people asking in the lobby about all this?
Many people.
They're about 30 miles west of Clarksburg on Route 50 is where they're located.
There you go.
How's that?
Of what?
Clarksburg.
Those 3 are done for a little bit.
I still get a booth
review. You get plenty of
You do get those 3 are done. You get a booth review.
Okay. Allegheny's crowd, for as far as they had to travel last night, was decent. Congratulations to you that made it down there. Good luck to Frankfort. I'd love to see Fort Hill and Frankfort win titles this year. It'd be great.
Absolutely. Michael?
Well, first of all, last night was our 86th venue in covering high school football.
Very nice.
And I like to brag about that. As far as booth review, the questionable calls by the officials, that one where Allegheny had her first down, and they gave the ball back to Patuxent. And Patuxent, in the second half, they had 7 penalties for 75 yards.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the game plan, as we said, for Allegheny went south when, they had the interception and the fumble. But other than that, that was my booth review. But I wanted to stress 86th venue in Covering High School
And
football.
if we have any officials listening or anybody who has knowledge, they don't measure. It's not just in, Calvert County. It's up here. They don't measure anymore. It's the weirdest thing.
Is it the same thing with you?
We've seen very few measurements.
Well, I don't know about you guys. Have you seen any problems with marking the ball after a play? Because they'll move it 1 yard up or 1 yard back.
I agree.
Yeah.
And Hansel got an unsportsmanlike like that. I don't blame him. That was worth it.
Oh, it was, yeah.
It was really bad. All right. It did not, obviously, affect the game. Garrett.
Long road trip for us, traveling down to Calvert County. We left at noon, stopped at the Oak Barrel, had a little bit of a lunch. I'm still digesting the reservoir of cheeseburger soup that I ordered a cup. But anyway, we got there at 4 after a brilliant piece of driving by yours truly. So we were there 2 hours before airtime. So I was battling with a migraine all day, but the powers that be made the decision to kind of doze off in the car for a while, and
what a sight that was.
We executed after Rock was whipping votes, a couple constituents on the western shore of the bay. We finally got everybody in the car and took about a power 45-minute nap. Bucket seats, so we weren't all like huddled together.
Yes, we're in the parking lot, all asleep. I woke up at 5:10. I thought, what am I,
And the windows are all.
And the windows were fogged.
Like we were out parking on a Saturday night.
You weren't arrested for vagrancy.
Well, we made friends very quickly.
I'll tell you, that nap was the best. I could keep Garrett company the whole way home, and it was questionable. It was questionable. All right.
But you did drive very well.
Thank you, Ron.
My wife, the first thing my wife asked me, how does Garrett drive? I said,
I'm here. Booth review for me. Wow, this is kind of far afield. Kansas City Chiefs last year were 12-0 in one-score games. This year they're 0-5. We'll tie that into the Allegheny campers. Allegheny lost all the close games last year. This year, beat Mountain Ridge twice, beat Northern, beat Kaiser. The difference between a really good year and a disappointing one. You can't be disappointed with what Allegheny did this year. If you are, you're not following it. You're just not. And their only close loss, because we didn't say all year they didn't lose a close one. They did. They lost to Gallatin 63-56. That's an unbeaten team. And if Allegheny did not have the worst start since BW going down 21-0 to Kaiser in the late 90s, they could have beaten that team.
The kickoffs.
Oh, it was bad.
3 straight.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was funny. Allegheny had some young kids on special teams they put in there. And last night a punt was moving back towards the Allegheny goal line, and the kid didn't know he should down it. I don't know if you caught that, but it didn't make a difference. But way to go, Allegheny. Win those close games.
Is somebody going to call in about measurements? They still have time?
Though sure they have time. All right, so we have a few minutes left. We don't need another 2 minutes. I love that buzzer, Tony. You perfected the buzzer. That is really good. I like that. We're definitely keeping that segment.
Airtime's noon today?
Airtime noon. On Classic Hits 107.
Yeah. Yes. Terrific.
Yes. And we're going to do Friday night, Perryville at Fort Hill. And then
I would think Frankfurt's successful today. I would think that would probably also be a Friday night. Frankfurt, like Fort Hill, plays on Friday nights, and this team shouldn't be a problem for them to get up for a Friday, especially on a holiday weekend. So it could be a great day after Thanksgiving.
So win
football.
today, Dodgers County next weekend.
Correct.
Okay. And then we're down to 4 in West Virginia.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, yeah, in that division.
Okay.
And Doddridge is in West Union, West Virginia, because I have it written.
Did you say
right here.
West Union, West Virginia?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of hunting up there. A lot of deer hunting.
A lot of trains.
Yes, trains.
Yes, Garrett.
I just want to add that we talked about this real quick. It really stinks that in West Virginia you guys are not able to do the state championship game.
It does.
And Jim mentioned the fact that you can't beat local radio because us doing these games, you know the kids, you know how to pronounce their names. And one of the biggest gripes when we went down to Annapolis with the mainstream is people will post online and then write me, who the hell was doing the game? They were saying this kid's name wrong. They didn't even know who had the ball.
And that is going to do it for Saturday morning quarterback. Thank you guys for understanding the signal. It was not an obscene signal. So, sorry. It's radio. Who knows?
No, it's on. We're being filmed. They know the signal.
Well, it wasn't a bad signal. Just knock it off.
It was
All
an
right.
excellent point.
Thank you, Rock. For Garrett Eagan, Mike Connelley, Adam Sterne, Brad Reed, Tony Orndoff, Rock Cioni, and Chris Myers, this is Jim Zamagias for Saturday Morning Quarterback. We'll talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.
This has been Saturday Morning Quarterback on WCBC and by the Kensington Assisted Living on Baltimore Street in downtown Cumberland, and the Country House, specializing in Alzheimer's and respite care, located on Cumberland Street in downtown Cumberland. Saturday Morning Quarterback is a production of WCBC Radio Sports. All rights reserved.